In the ancient world a hidden lineage walked the earth, a race of giants spoken of in whispers and shrouded in mystery. They are the Nephilim, mentioned in Genesis chapter 6. They were the offspring of fallen angels and human women, possessing immense strength and carrying knowledge that was forbidden to mankind. Their very existence was a rebellion so profound it changed the course of human history and forced the hand of God himself. Tonight we will journey back into the mists of time to uncover the secrets of the Nephilim, their divine origins, the forbidden knowledge they passed down, and why their story has been intentionally concealed for thousands of years. The Nephilim weren't just campfire stories or mythological beasts. They were described in ancient texts as giants, mighty warriors, and men of great renown and influence. Their fathers were known as the Watchers, a group of angels originally assigned to observe humanity. But these angels abandoned their post, giving in to earthly desires. The existence of their children, the Nephilim, serves as a stark warning about the perilous consequences of rebelling against divine order. Understanding the Nephilim is crucial because it unlocks the answers to some of antiquity's greatest questions. It explains the pervasive corruption that led to the Great Flood. It reveals how forbidden knowledge can spread like a virus across generations, and it shows us the volatile intersection of the divine and human realms. To get the complete picture, we must turn to a text that was once lost but holds the key, the Book of Enoch. It tells us that 200 angels, led by one named Semyaza, willfully defied God and descended to earth. They took human women as wives, and from these unions the Nephilim were born. These were not ordinary children. They were giants, beings of tremendous size, unparalleled strength, and commanding influence. This story is echoed in the Bible itself in Genesis 6 verse 4, which states, "There were giants in the earth in those days." The Book of Enoch goes even further, naming some of the rebellious watchers and detailing their conspiracy. This wasn't a random accident. It was a planned, deliberate act of corruption designed to upend the natural order. Along with their rebellious nature, the Nephilim inherited a treasure trove of forbidden knowledge from their angelic fathers. This was not the kind of wisdom that uplifts humanity, but knowledge that corrupts it from within. They were taught the art of warfare, mastering metalworking to forge deadly weapons, and developing advanced combat techniques. They learned astrology and divination, seeking to predict the future and understand celestial movements outside of God's divine plan. They practiced sorcery and magic, casting enchantments, spells, and manipulating spiritual forces for their own gain. They even introduced cosmetics and the art of vanity, teaching humanity how to use beauty and deception to influence others. This knowledge spread like wildfire, fueling violence, sin, and a complete breakdown of morality. God viewed this knowledge as incredibly dangerous because it directly undermined his divine order and humanity's relationship with its Creator. With their intimidating physical presence and their access to supernatural knowledge, the Nephilim quickly dominated the early world. They became tyrants, oppressing humanity and ruling through fear. Their reign intensified the wickedness on earth to a point of no return, compelling God to intervene in the most dramatic way possible. The Great Flood was not only a judgment upon the sins of mankind, it was a specific and necessary act to cleanse the earth of the Nephilim and their corrupting influence. They were an infection that had to be wiped out to give humanity a chance to start anew. God's response to this rebellion was swift and decisive. The Watchers, the fallen angels who started it all, were captured by loyal angels like Uriel and bound in Tartarus, a dark abyss of judgment, to await their final sentence. The Nephilim, their giant offspring, perished in the waters of the flood. Their physical presence was erased from the earth, but their story was preserved in spiritual texts like the Book of Enoch, serving as a permanent record of their rise and fall. This divine judgment shows us that heaven actively enforces divine law. It teaches us that possessing great knowledge and power without obedience to God is a recipe for catastrophe, and it proves that judgment for rebellion, no matter how powerful the rebel, is absolutely inevitable. Although the Nephilim were physically destroyed, their story lived on, echoing through millennia of legends, myths, and theology. We see their shadow in the biblical accounts of other giants, like Goliath. We hear their tale in the folklore of countless cultures that speak of giants and demigods, and we feel their impact in the stern warnings against seeking forbidden knowledge found in spiritual traditions around the world. The existence of the Nephilim illustrates the fragile balance between divine law, angelic rebellion, and human corruption. Their story is a timeless cautionary tale. The story of the Nephilim offers profound cosmic and spiritual lessons that are just as relevant today as they were in the ancient world. It teaches us that sin escalates dramatically when divine boundaries are crossed and ignored. It shows that knowledge, when separated from obedience and morality, becomes a tool for corruption, not enlightenment. It reminds us that human history is deeply intertwined with unseen spiritual forces, both good and evil, and it demonstrates that God's judgment is not random or chaotic. It is structured, methodical, and ultimately inescapable. Even now, understanding the story of the Nephilim serves as a powerful warning against the dangers of pride, rebellion, and the misuse of knowledge. The narrative of the Nephilim is not an isolated story. It's a thread that connects key parts of the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation. Genesis chapter 6 describes their literal appearance on earth. The book of Jude directly references the Watchers' punishment, speaking of angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode. The Apostle Peter also mentions the fallen angels being bound in chains of darkness. And finally, the book of Revelation describes the ultimate judgment and confinement of all rebellious spiritual beings. These scriptural connections create a consistent, unified testimony, confirming the reality of divine law enforcement across the entire biblical narrative. In the end, the Nephilim were far more than just giants. They were the physical manifestation of angelic rebellion. They were the inheritors of forbidden knowledge that poisoned humanity, and they were the trigger for a divine consequence of cataclysmic proportions. Their story is a stark reminder of timeless truths. Obedience to God is paramount. Knowledge without morality is a dangerous weapon, and divine law is absolute and eternal. If you want to continue exploring the Bible's deepest mysteries, subscribe for our weekly deep dives into Scripture, hidden history, and the enigmatic world of angels, Watchers, and the Nephilim. And be sure to watch our full Mysteries of the Bible Revealed playlist to continue uncovering the secrets hidden within the sacred text.